Hardware is the foundation of autonomy. Embodied AI, autonomous vehicles, and the data centers that drive them all rely on the reliability of their hardware and the trustworthiness of their sensor data. Our next presenter, Tensor Machines, provides modular hardware security for the economy of the future. Please welcome to the stage Munib Rasool from Tensor Machines.
Shot, I am not thrown away, my shot. Yo, I'm just like my country, I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not thrown away, my shot.
Hey everyone, I'm Munib Rasool. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Tensor Machines, and I have with me my co-founder and CTO. And we are very excited to present Tensor Machines to you. So our work at Tensor began from the lived experience in two worlds, the industry and the academia. I was the product leader at Meta's Reality Labs, where I worked on scaling a variety of embedded systems like mixed reality headsets to millions of users. I also served in the logistics unit in the US Army, where I learned the importance of hardware integrity to mission-critical supply chains. My co-founder, Dr. Malik, has spent 2 decades in academia researching signal security and hardware forensics, earning him 20 patents and publishing 150 papers. And together, we are building the first company that is reimagining hardware as the foundation of security in the physical era of connected and intelligent machines. Autonomy is the global operating fabric of modern economy. It generates more than $5 trillion in value across verticals like defense, mobility, and logistics. Nearly every major defense and industrial platform relies on some form of embedded sensing, edge computing, and machine decision-making. Yet, autonomy faces 2 converging threats. One is that at the sensor layer, the data can be manipulated. Wrong input drive wrong output, turning machines into hazards. And 2 is that the underlying physical board itself can be altered or counterfeited, embedding undetectable security backdoors. And since defense is one of the leading adopters of autonomy, we have already seen how mass GPS spoofing has led to fleets of drones to crash in Ukraine and the Black Sea, and how the counterfeit chips have been traced to foreign suppliers, triggering massive recalls. The same vulnerabilities are now scaling on the commercial side, especially in the sectors that are deploying billions of sensors. And without a new foundation of security, the cost structure that we have seen in the attack vectors in defense becomes the business model of civilian autonomy. Here are some of the real-world examples of how compromised hardware and exploited sensors caused massive recalls and hundreds of millions of dollars in loss. And these stories also show how urgent the need is, even for the commercially deployed systems already losing money to hardware-based attacks. And the root cause is that in the current cybersecurity structure, hardware was never designed for connectivity and perception. Hardware was assumed as a self-contained, isolated unit when network standards like CAN were set. So all these attacks at runtime of hardware remain highly feasible. And when these attacks manifest at the control layer, like robots going haywire or autonomous cars crashing, then our own infrastructure can be used as a weapon against us. And this is why we have built Tensor. It's a modular stack. It has a hardware component and a software component, and both can be implemented in conjunction with each other or independently. But primarily, it does 2 things. 1, it makes it super hard to attack an autonomous or an embedded system. 2, it raises the ability for an operator to control and detect each attack. And the way we do it is that we have a hardware, which are a set of sensors that we can retrofit to any embedded system. And these sensors start to understand the analog signature of the hardware, like electromagnetic radiation, thermal pattern, the current profile. And then we use sensor fusion to convert all of these sensor outputs into a physical fingerprint. and we have a physics-informed neural network model that then understands that fingerprint and continuously monitor it, allowing for real-time security for the device or the embedded system in field. And then we also protect the perception layer, the sensor data, by embedding lightweight agents that perform continuous validation of data in motion, and they are specially trained to detect and deter any spoofing attack and trigger any fallback mechanisms. It's a quick demo of our system, and first I'm going to show how we protect the perception layer. So here, over on the red side, you see two cameras, and this is kind of a lab-grown embedded system, and one camera is running an object detection pipeline. In the background, our agent is also monitoring this feed, and we are going to launch a spoofing attack where we are going to manipulate this feed. And what we want our agent to do is to be able to detect it. So watch what happens. As the attack happened, it triggered the fallback, which was another camera, while keeping the vision model running and keep the object detection going. So even under attack, our agents were able to coordinate between a system and was able to keep the operational integrity of this system. And the second part of our stack is how we protect the hardware. And for that, we have a GPU rig here. And this GPU rig, there are two GPUs, and we are feeding live data from them, and there is a signature graph that is being generated by our physics-informed neural network. And right now, the system is authenticating that everything is healthy, and system is operating normally and behaving in a healthy way. But we are going to introduce a little bit of tampering. We are going to lose the power cable. That changes the physics of the system, and our neural network was able to detect it and raise an alert. When it comes to existing tools and the problem of securing autonomous and embedded systems, they are only solving a part of it. They either provide rack-mounted verification and cannot monitor hardware at runtime, or they require system redesign and they want to embed dies in the new chips that is very costly. Software-only solutions can do downstream network or semantic analysis, but they don't understand the physical deviations at the source. So here's what the difference looks like in practice. When we implement our system, the hardware gains the ability of continuous verification that is grounded in physics. And also, since we are protecting both the perception layer and the underlying board, ours is the only system that unifies these two capabilities in a runtime. And our security model is grounded in real signal physics. Our market is the set of all the autonomy-critical nodes out there in the world. And we have done our sizing based on the most conservative estimate of protectable nodes across various sectors. Right now, we are looking at defense, where there are active breaches, and we are also looking at the reliability and monitoring need of critical computing infrastructure, especially in the age of the AI. For the first time, defense mandates, commercial incentives, and technical necessity are aligned on the problem that autonomy and intelligent machines cannot scale without verification. That alignment creates a window that Tensor is built for. There are a couple of things we got going for us. So we have $2 million in NSF funding. We have 2 design partners that are in defense and automotive diagnostics. We have filed 5 patents. We have done a pilot with the Ford on sensor authentication. We are developing a proof of concept with Carnegie Mellon Robotics on drone payload verification. And we are filing more patents on GPU reliability as well. Our roadmap is divided into 3 phases. We are just graduating from phase 1, where we wanted to do more field validation and harden our base fingerprinting model. Next, we are adding more physics modalities like electromagnetic and thermal heat maps to our core neural network. And in the near future, we also want to custom train our model to expand the use case coverage and also cover other embedded system and autonomous use cases like preventive maintenance and performance. We are raising our seed round, and we will use the money, 1, to complete our team, 2, to ship our fully operational product, and 3, to turn our existing design partnerships into recurring contracts. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'm open for any questions, and I'm also going to invite my CTO to come on stage for the questions. Thank you.
Great presentations, very interesting. So I was interested in the sensor authentication that you're doing and what the mechanism is for doing that. So you've got, are you validating the integrity of the signal coming out of the sensor, or just looking at the power signature of the sensor, or what are you doing?
Yes.
And what kind of tampering are you detecting, I guess, is the other thing.
Yeah, we can detect a whole variety of tampering, from object insertion, deletion, or replay attack. And we go across a variety of sensors, from GPS to IMU, radar, camera, LiDAR. And we have essentially 2 agents. One sit at the transmission level. So as soon as the sensor gets the data, it validates it. It embeds a watermark that is dynamically generated. And another agent sits on the receiving side right before the control unit, before it hits the control loop, and it verifies that this data is indeed the one that was captured by the sensor and not spoofed or not an unauthenticated sensor that got onto the CAN bus network.
You mentioned 5 pilots that you had. What are you looking for in terms of the pilots?
So we look for field validation. We bring a set of units that we are doing a physical fingerprinting for in our lab, and we establish their baseline, and then we are able to emulate a variety of attack vectors that can happen on a hardware, which is alteration or sensor spoofing, and we present our understanding and the readings and what comes out of that experiment as the end of the pilot, which is generally the phase 1. And phase 2, we actually go to the field with Ford. We want to go to the in-vehicle network and start doing it, the ADAS protection with in-vehicles, because that happened in our lab first.
Are there ecosystems that you can tap into from a distribution standpoint, to move your capability into the market, or are you one customer at a time?
No, absolutely ecosystem. So we are looking at integrators both in industrial robotics and data center, and also we are working with we're trying to work with the primes. So with the integrators, they are on the hook for metrics like downtime, uptime, and these are the metrics we can guarantee, because as we understand the physics of an embedded system, we can also understand how it's going to degrade, or if there is going to be an attack that we can just in time protect the system against.
So the technology used here seems very useful in a trusted execution type environment, where you're protecting key material. Do you see that as part of your go-to-market strategy, or is it something where you're focusing more outside of the TEE market?
You want to take that?
Go-to-market strategy.
Is it regarding go-to-market strategy or our technology?
The go-to-market strategy.
Yeah. So can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, so if you have trusted execution environments protecting cryptographic material, that's kind of where this tampering for like FIPS 140 certification, do you see yourself getting into like FIPS 140 to protect the device privacy and tampering from that kind of an attack?
Right, like for the embedded systems, yes, because we are not cryptographically protecting the data, we are using the side channel physics. So it will be yet another modality and another interface through which we can provide additional protection in addition to the cryptographic protection.
Okay. The second question I had was around the customer. So you mentioned USG as a customer, or defense. If you have them as a customer, I'm curious who outside of that would be interested in this. Who is the attacker in your threat model? Who are you pitching as the attacker for these kinds of attacks that you have in mind that you're defending against?
Yeah, you want?
Like attack like vectors in defense could be multiple, because the thing is we know that a lot of hardware that is procured and purchased and installed in like defense products or the systems, it is like sourced outside the like defense production itself. So basically, in that kind of scenario, attacks are coming by just like having hardware that has the backdoors in it, or some like basically providing adversaries some ways to get into the systems. So our like technology can protect those kind of things from component level all the way to system to subsystem to the system level traceability we can guarantee through our technology.
Yeah, most of them are going to be foreign adversaries that are going to attack the systems, and they can hurt us both from the defense perspective, but also from the commercial perspective as well.
So your addressable market then becomes more critical infrastructure and less of the broader industry in your mind?
So as the autonomy is growing, everything is going to be critical infrastructure. In San Francisco right now, we have Waymos, and if you get onto that network, you can hurt our civilians and citizens.
Okay, thank you.
So with that as a kind of a baseline thought, is there a limit to your total addressable market within essentially, everything that's not an ITAR country, or would you look to expand your market into ITAR countries as well, for example?
Well, we'll start with ITAR countries.
As the adversary?
Yes.
Not as addressable market?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, of course.
So
I served in the U.S. Army.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Just thinking about, okay, China's off the table as a market, but as an adversary, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Well, they're on the table as the adversary. Got it.
What are the proof points you're looking for to get that first commercial deployment?
So one is we're looking for the signature across the population. We want it to remain stable, and we want it to be able to detect at scale that when there is any change, we can raise the alert. In our limited pilots, we have been able to do that, and we want to be able to do it at scale. And also, we are very interested in protecting and also providing resilience to our GPU infrastructure. And that's where the physics change significantly, because the power consumption and the EMR is very different. So we are looking for pilots there and try to train our model on those specific type of physics and reliability issues there.
When you think about that first benchmark customer, who is it likely to be? You've got a number of proof cases that you're running through, but who is the early adopter?
The early adoption is going to come from defense and the companies that are just scaling autonomy, like drone companies, and Waymo, like autonomous companies. And also, I think the data center market, and especially like the hyperscalers and the GPU, or the integrators in that, I think are going to be very interested in our tech, because there is a reliability and resiliency problem. As we are growing our infrastructure, there is decreasing economies of scale, because the mean time to failure and the vulnerabilities grow as you increase the number of GPUs and the racks that are there. So we can provide a physics-grounded model for them to both model their reliability and security at the same time. And as soon as we've done that articulation with GPUs, because we have not been thinking about it, we were able to land a pilot in less than 10 days.
I'm going to ask a quick question in terms of recent attacks that were hardware-based. And I don't know if I'm going to reference it properly, but there were a couple attacks that were just investigated where China had implanted some chips into various mobile devices and endpoint devices that were investigated by the NSA. Would you guys be a solution there that would be able to help with that sort of detection?
100%, yes.
And how exactly would that work? Because mobile devices are definitely a target for some of these chips that they're implanting.
Yeah, we'll be able to take a fingerprint for each device. We'll be working with the source, so whoever the OEM is, and the tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers, and we'll take the physics of each of the components that go into the device and also be able to baseline the entire device. So, and then we'll be able to do not only time series analysis of how that physics have changed as they have activated the embedded security backdoors, but also across population, because such attacks are so computationally intensive that you only attack a subset of a network. So since we are taking a baseline not only for the device, but across the population as well, so we'll see that, okay, this subset of the population is showing some level of deviation and there is a problem.
One more question on how do you imagine the contract being written for your first customer? Is it a combination of IP licensing and a service contract to service the neural network generation.
Yeah.
So it's like the two of those things together, and then you have to monitor the neural network to find out if you have false positives and update it after the fact. So like, how do you imagine that support cycle goes?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there's going to be a discovery phase for 2 to 3 months where we'll put in some kind of a token money, where we'll understand their vulnerabilities, their hardware architecture, how their firmware is laid out, what sensors they are using, things like that. And then there will be a one-time deployment fee and per critical node that we are protecting. And then per critical node, we'll charge some $100 to $350 per year as ARR. Yep. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, guys.